I was kidnapped, never trafficked, chained in a basement, yes. Beaten for over a year on and off, yes.
We were talking about on the podcast the 39 or 35 kids that were rescued in Georgia.
Yeah.
And it was a blip in the news. But meanwhile, I saw 1,000 articles on how mean Ellen is.
Yes.
That story right there should be leading
everything.
Question: what has Hollywood and the media become when they attack a movie about saving children, yet defend exposing kindergartners to sex? Answer: evil. The Sound of Freedom is a blockbuster movie with a battle cry. God's children are not for sale. Yet some studios like Disney are outraged over the sleeper's hit success, and they've sent their meat puppets in the mainstream media into 4K fits. You have the Rolling Stone and Washington Post, who once celebrated Netflix Cutie series, are now simping for human trafficking. I'm a kidnapped survivor. The line is drawn here. On one side are children, on the other is evil. Choose. Time to buckle up, everybody. We have giants to bring down to their bellies. This is a David and Goliath match, a battle of good versus evil. It's us versus them, the Hollywood Hive and the woke mainstream media, who one more time prove just how much they can't stand you, how much they hate you, except this time they've added your kids to their list. See, The Sound of Freedom is a simple movie about a man who rescues trafficked children. It's a cinematic signal flare meant to inspire people to make a stand, not a soapbox for political messaging. Yet CNN didn't have any of that. They tried to muddy the waters and snuff out its light.
With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it. He's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts. He's speaking at QAnon conventions.
It's not QAnon. It's Q and Anons. And Q puts out a question, and you're not allowed to ask questions anymore.
And this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers.
I never knew about them while I was doing this movie, Sound of Freedom. It has nothing to do with our film.
Who cares if Jim Caviezel or Tim Ballard are conspiracy theorists? For that matter, last year they could have both been wearing tinfoil hats as members of the Flat Earth Society every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and the rest of the week spent their time online crowdfunding to raise money so they could mine the moon because they believed it was made of nutritious green cheese. It does not matter.
Believe me, I did a lot of research on it. And according to all the research, it was way worse than that, anything I showed you.
If I put down exactly what happened, it's too hard to take.
Rescuing children isn't about politics nor money. It is a black and white issue. Basic human nature about protecting the young has always crossed partisan lines. All right, Lisa, yours too.
These films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high-level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension, only people like the ticket buyer can help bring these trafficking rings down.
So that's his major strategy. He's trying to convince people to turn away from the movie by telling them that the statistics are exaggerated. It's like, how pathetic, but how typical of a radical Ivy Leaguer. No different than a bumper sticker slogan that breathes and goes to the bathroom. The only fact that counts here is the number, and it's number one. One child is too many. One child who's abused, sold, bought, and traded is too much. If the movie can save one, it's a success. That's all that matters.
You're damn right.
But see, the woke tardy are going to use all their power to stop this conversation from happening, to stop people from raising awareness, and to do all they can to stop the film from going viral. On that front, they're too late. But they won't stop ever trying.
Something isn't right here. I recently made a video talking about the strange occurrences happening to viewers trying to watch Sound of Freedom. Well, it's gotten worse. Just check out these people's experiences.
There's no one in here. And then it said that they were sold out.
Fire alarm goes off and people still watch the movie.
I don't know. I know it's been very popular.
There has been a fire emergency reported in the building. Please evacuate the...
The AC was out, like, when we went to watch the movie. And I'd seen someone else post something, too, that also saw it at an AMC. And their AC was out, but they didn't turn the lights off.
They literally had the lights on.
They kept the lights on the entire movie.
They're like, oh, well, we refunded all the tickets because there's no air conditioning in our theaters.
Oddly enough, I shared some of those same experiences at my 9:50 p.m. showing. The AC was out, and we're talking about a Texas July of a summer. I felt like I was in a sauna in the middle of the Amazon. Yet magically, just 10 minutes before the credits hit the big screen,
It's done.
I watched from beginning till end, tried to talk to the manager, but he was completely useless. As my grandfather would say, as useless as trying to sweet talk water out of a well. But now, see, we can use these experiences to catalog all the behind-the-scenes dirty deeds because they help to serve up who's the true menace. Then together we can shine a spotlight on the Hollywood hive and the woke mainstream media and hold a mirror up to their faces and show them what true monsters look like. This is a fight between good versus evil. Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brain worms. The QAnon-tinged thriller about child trafficking is designed to appeal to the conscience of a conspiracy-addled boomer. Miles Klee's hit piece in the Rolling Stone perfectly embodies the media's mindset right now. Their malice towards everyone who thinks differently than they do. Just imagine if everyone in Tinseltown wore pink polka-dotted socks. Anyone who didn't would be instantly branded an istphobe, bigot, and bot. And when it comes to Sound of Freedom, Mr. Klee is the brand ambassador for every bend-over beta male bobblehead. He takes his orders, nods his head, and then smiles. The only fact he actually nailed in the article, he got right were the names of the actors, producers, the nonprofit organization, and the film. That's it. Ballard, Caviezel, and others of their ilk had primed the public to accept Sound of Freedom as a documentary rather than delusional by fomenting moral panic for years over this grossly exaggerated epidemic of child trafficking. Talk about selling your soul for 30 pieces of silver. Klee continues trying undermining Jim Caviezel simply because he has different beliefs. Yet the audiences around the country aren't having any of it. They're serving up his lunch to the writer.
And I'm shutting your butt down.
The Sound of Freedom never once promoted itself as a documentary. But do you think that stops the wannabe writer from peppering his piece with one lie after another as if he's campaigning for higher office? It uses words like gross exaggeration, moral panic, fomenting, as if that's to scare someone. But instead, he's preaching to his choir, family haters, cultural assassins, and personal truth crusaders. Yes, why? It's because he wants to energize the participation trophy generation. Those are the people who view truth as a tool, nothing else. It's just another weapon used to justify any of their actions at any moment of the day they want to feel good. Nothing more.
Last weekend, police broke up a major sex trafficking ring in Colombia.
Tim Ballard has one mission: to track down child traffickers.
Right there, that's CBS News completely exposing Klee as nothing more than a hitman with a digital pen. They're bursting his little bubble with a deep dive onto Ballard and Operation Underground Railroad. And that's from a decade ago. It also shows that the reporter doesn't know how to do any of his research. Another liar in the mainstream media.
Ballard, a former Homeland Security agent, now heads up Operation Underground Railroad, liberating one child at a time.
But you notice that the network didn't once during those days when they pretended to care about kids and to have this facade of being serious journalists, not once did they try to spin false facts or ridicule the people who are trying to save kids. Because above everything else, above politics, above money, above personal beliefs, nothing is more important than protecting children.
It is a controversial issue. It shouldn't be. We should just be naturally wanting to save our children.
Now, all that anger that you see coming out of the Hollywood hive and the legacy press is all stemming from politics. The rest of it rears its ugly head out of sheer envy.
Why are you doing it? Because God's children are not for sale.
The Sound of Freedom is a word-of-mouth smashing success. You're talking about an independent film that was made 5 years ago for around $14 million, which Disney actually owned after they bought 20th Century Fox. But then they put it on ice. And now the little film has pulled the pants down of the Mouse House's biggest failures, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Dud. But instead of reporting that in phenomenal feat, you have the national press has decided to paint a target on the picture as right-wing propaganda.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly.
I wonder if any of the studios decided to tell one of their former stars, actor Ashton Kutcher, that everything he believed was merely a conspiracy theory.
My day job is as the chairman and the co-founder of Thorn. We build software to fight human trafficking and the sexual exploitation of children. The right to pursue happiness for so many is stripped away. I've seen video content of a child that's the same age as mine being raped by an American man that was a sex tourist in Cambodia.
God bless him. What a true human being who used his celebrity star status to save lives, to stop children from suffering anymore. And I understand a little bit about that, just a shadow of it. I was kidnapped, never trafficked, chained in a basement, yes. Beaten for over a year on and off, yes. Trafficked, never. My case was a little bit different in my story because of the fact that it wasn't a stranger who abducted me. It was my father, a man I had adored my entire life. I was a kid. I remember the very moment that he changed into someone that I couldn't understand anymore. We were bouncing around from European to European city. During that time, from London to Amsterdam, he was as sweet as sugar, loving, kind, and patient. When I would yell or say, I want to go back home, he'd say, it's okay. Once we arrive in Amsterdam, I'm going to give you a ticket. You'll fly back to Houston, but I'll stay here. London, I'll stay here and you'll fly back. Once we hit his final destination, it was game over. That kind, soothing hand that was always on my shoulder turned into an iron vise. It projected nothing but pain and a cold, angry note. He didn't care if anyone in the public saw him. And then in a blink of an eye, it wasn't my dad anymore. He was just this alien danger. I no longer had control over my body. I didn't own my surroundings. It was all him. But I 100% owned my mind and my spirit. And that's how a 7-year-old defeated his first giant. Eventually, my family rescued me from across the world.
Like, please don't politicize this issue. Child trafficking is not a political issue. Nobody has like a hold on the moral superiority of like, well, my party believes this and no. This is just about being a good person who doesn't want to see children hurt.
But when you want to see real hate, real loathing, just look at the way they treat children. Woke tartary utterly despise them. Why else do you think they would undermine a movie that's trying to raise awareness to save them? But Sound of Freedom has been accused by some critics of warping the truth about child exploitation and catering to QAnon conspiracy theorists, something its distributor Angel Studios denies. The Guardian's critic called it a QAnon-adjacent thriller seducing America, and the film star Caviezel has openly embraced the extreme movement, suggesting at media events that a shadowy international cabal is kidnapping children to consume their organs. No different pretty much than the smear job from the Rolling Stone. But it does make one wonder if there isn't some international cabal giving the woke mainstream media their marching orders. Because aren't you curious how they all sound the same? They all read from the same script and say the very same words.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media. More agenda to control exactly what people think, and this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
But what's truly pathetic is how Hollywood has morphed into what they are today. They've gone so far that they wanted to try to stop distributors from showing a film in the theaters. And while they're playing all their little Machiavellian games, you have children being abducted every 40 seconds. The numbers are so astronomical that if you were to concentrate them in one place, you'd have cities the size of Liverpool in the UK and San Francisco in the US would vanish every year like we were living in a dystopian nightmare. Cases of human trafficking have been reported in all 50 U.S. states. Anyone can be trafficked regardless of race, class, education, gender, age, or citizenship when forcefully coerced or enticed by false promises. The good news is that Sound of Freedom is opening people's eyes up. It's empowering them to understand what the character of are so many corporations and industry. Take Disney, for example. It's not the Magic Kingdom we all grew up with. Right now, the Mouse House is campaigning 24/7 with each one of its projects on gender identity, representation, and having its pronoun police lecture the public with every big budget bonfire. But you know what? We don't need them anymore because right now we have an alternative media workaround to send out our message and win. All we have to do when a monster shows his teeth to children today is heroes dig in their feet, they grin, and make a stand. And if you want to win from battle to battle, all you got to do is remember that we never bow down, we never bend the knee. Always forward.